the pad and it should be everybody in the world. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Excellent stuff. Right, welcome back crew, welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. And I've got Girl Holley back in the workshop again. We were making Lego models. In fact, hang on a minute, just bear with us. These are really, really cool. Now, that one's mine, isn't it? That's yours, it's got an extra thing on it. Look what we made last night. Very, very cool. But I've still got the video to edit up, so I have no idea which video is going to go out first. This could be a little teaser to what we're going to do on the channel, or you've already seen those cars. I have no idea, I'm not that organised. But on this video, I have had a Suzuki LT300 ATV engine kicking around in my workshop that I really, really need to get rid of. And there's a previous video on the channel where I stripped it all down and it had a fail, and the fail was, from memory, the guy could drive it, he was riding down the road, flat out, full tilt, high ratio, and those things have got high, low and super low, and 5 normal gears in the gearbox. So essentially you've got 15 gears, 5 in high, 5 in low and 5 in super low. So 15 different ratios. This guy's flying down the tarmac road, obviously a private road, flat out, 5th gear, high box, for about 10 minutes non-stop, on the throttle, on the stop. And he felt the bike start to lose power and it just ground to a halt. It just wouldn't go anywhere. It was like, and it was just basically slipping on the clutch. So he played around with the gears a little bit and he realised that a combination of, well, being in super low, and he could set off again. He could still use the 5 normal gears, but in the super low transfer box ratio. And he sort of carried on using the bike for a while, and he got a bit pissed off because it would take hours to get home. So he took it into a local dealer, and the dealer sort of took one look at it and went, mate, it's just going to cost way too much to fix. So I got given the engine, and we stripped the engine down and we found a fault within the transfer box. And if you want to know what that fault is, you'll have to watch the video, won't you? And I'll put you a link, one of those little linky things up there, look, about now. And watch that video, and it's pretty cool. We find the fault and we actually fix it. But I couldn't go any further stripping the engine down because I didn't have a puller for the flywheel. So I've stolen one of those, borrowed it off a good friend of mine just down the road, and now, eventually, about 3 months later, we can pop the flywheel off, split the crankcase, take a look inside, and make sure there's nothing else wrong with it. Because there might have been some other damage. Because obviously I didn't have the bike. I couldn't like fix it and then test ride it. So I need to have a look and see what's going on. I do ramble on a bit, don't I? I do lots and lots of rambling. It's okay because the viewers can just go fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Here he is on the tools. Or in this case, here's Holly on the tools. Right, without further ado, we should get that flywheel popped off, and it usually goes with a bit of a pop. What you should never do is use a hammer on a flywheel. And the reason for that is the impacts can damage the fixed magnets that are inside the flywheel. You don't realise until you get the bike rebuilt, and then your charging system doesn't work too well. Right, what's that? One or the other. Anyway, let's head over to the main bench, get this engine stripped once and for all, and then we can make some other videos today. Here we go. Right, Holly, if you can stand over here. Now, we're going to have to work above all this racket of lawnmowers and weed whackers and strimmers and stuff that are next door. Apologies, the guy's just wandered off now, so it's alright. Okay, this is the puller that I had to obtain, and I believe it's a genuine Suzuki one, which is pretty cool. It comes in 2 parts. First part is that bit, and that screws onto the crank, but you don't want to go all the way up to the flywheel because we need that to pop off. So if you wind that on for us, I believe that's the normal right hand thread. Yeah, I'll hold the old crank. There you go. It's probably had some abuse over the years, so threads would be great. That'll do. Okay, just maybe just that should be alright. We've got a few mil gaps, so we're alright. Now that one is a left hand thread, and that screws on the outside of that box there, look. Lawnmower is back. Oh, maybe it's a right hand thread. I don't know. Maybe it's that one that's left hand thread. I can't remember. Oh, there you go. You got it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it is right hand.
Yeah, right hand first. I'm setting you up to fail again one more. Okay, now this one is left hand, which now that's going to go in and touch that first piece that you put on. And then if we use the rattle gun, we can then, that's going to go in, obviously anti-clockwise, that's going to go in, it's going to push against the crank and hopefully pull this off. That's the idea. Now, have you used that before?
Yeah.
Cool, 2 hands definitely. Alright, it's I think it's already on reverse, so I'll hold the crank. It's going to get, in fact, let me go and get a big spanner, hang on. I value my fingers. There we are, look. I'll use a monkey wrench. It's going to fit. Put away, Mr. Young. Oh yeah. Alright, I'm good to go. Now it's going to go bang, probably. They usually do. Was that it? I think that was it. I think it was. Just spin it the other way and we'll be able to take that off. Yeah, cool. Right. So. Has it cranked it up? I think it has, isn't it? Bear with me. If I give him some beers, will you think he'll come and do my lawn?
Possibly.
Might if he did. There you go.
Boiling.
Yeah. It's had a few months to drain out, so that one should come off now as well. Now the problem is, these sort of tools, they're not cheap.
No.
You can get aftermarket ones. I did notice a number on here actually. So this is part number, Suzuki genuine part 09930-31920. There you go, look. Hopefully you can see that. So you can get that from any of your Suzuki dealers. But if you go online, you'll be able to get an aftermarket one. Right, look at that. So easy. And behind here is a starter clutch. Starter clutch. It is, because the starter motor fits in there. Look. That's the starter clutch. It'll be a one-way sprag clutch. That will be. It's going to go back in. Here. So it spins one way and not the other. And the idea behind that, just like with a car starter motor, is that once the crank speed exceeds the starter motor speed, you don't want, the engine is now started, you don't want the engine to drive the starter motor, otherwise the starter motor spins too fast and the windings will explode up the armature and destroys it. So it's really important that you check that works properly, which it is, because it's great. Okay, we can get rid of the old cam chain now. There we go. Yeah, free necklace for you. Might need to clean first. Okay, so we've taken off what was holding me back before. The flywheel is now away. The previous video covered all these gears and how this provides 3 different ratios. The high, this is the transfer box, by the way. This bit, the main gearbox is in here. And also reverse is in there. It's quite a complicated little gearbox actually. It's pretty cool working it all out. So we can pull all of that off, and then we can whiz round, undo all the last bolts, take off a few more sensors, and fingers crossed we can then split that casing and have a little look inside, because I reckon it's even more complicated in there, because it's got 5 forward gears and reverse in there, and it's got the final drive. It's got the crown wheel and the pinion, and I don't know, don't think there's any differential gears in there. I think it's just a fixed crown wheel and pinion. So on the bike, both rear wheels are driven at the same time, so when you turn it sort of scrubs a bit on the ground. It was pretty old design, to be honest, pretty basic. Okay, right, let's get rid of that. I'll move the camera around a bit and you can pull all those bits off, and I'll try and remember what they all do as you pull them off. Yes, shouldn't be allowed to wear watches in the workshop, should you? You know what happens when you're broken? Right, let me give you a box for all the bits, because this is the last time. This thing's not going back together again. This is I wouldn't say scrap, because it's, you know, there's good parts on here. Somebody might, if you want any bits, let me know, because they're all here. So we've got the flywheel and starter clutch assembly. We've got a necklace. Right, now, go on, pull stuff off. I think that'll come off first. Seems a little bit in the bottom. And then that one, I think. Do it to mesh the out. Will it come off now? Yeah. Right, you can have that one. Oh, hang on. One of those. I think that one. All this was falling off the other day. Ooh, free washer. Yeah. Now then, was it that one? Yes, that one first. There you go. 2 bits. One of them. There we go. Right, have another selector fork and a hub. Right, that comes off now. Now the problem. Oh, should I give them a spoiler alert or not? Oh, it's a circlip. Hang on. I've got a circlip to find that one. And that one's a circlip as well. Right. Time to get some more tools. I hate circlips. Right. Try that one, Holly. On that circlip in there, look. See if you can get it. Because that was the problem child. And so I found out it's quite a common problem with these engines. Yeah, they're a nightmare. Don't worry, I can edit this so you'll look awesome. It'll just go up, bing, straight off. Bloody good, actually. Better than me. Right, that gear should slide off now. Hopefully. Give it a wiggle. There you go. Right, so that gear. I wonder if that collar's going to come off. Not a bit tight. I'll get some pliers. This was the problem. You might notice it's been Andy-fied. Is he going to come off with these pliers? That's the question.
Took it right at all.
I did! I fixed it. Temporarily. Oh, I reckon it's so tight on there now. Alright, you know what will happen? That's gonna, when we hammer that shaft through, it's gonna come off.
Yeah.
We'll worry about that later on. Right, got another one there, look. Can you see if you can get that off? Yeah. I'll get you some bigger circuit pliers if you need them. Oh, it's nearly. Yep, I'm behind it. Right, go on then, we'll go again. Give it a go. What an arsehole, honestly. Circles. Who would have circles there?
It's not just me.
Nah, it's both of us. We're both about as useless as each other. Come on, Mr. Circuit, where are you playing at? There we are. Right, one for each circlet. Okay, so that big gear should come out of there if I tilt it across a bit, so you can get that pulled out. Awesome. Took me bloody ages to work out how all that worked. How it achieved those 3 different ratios when there was only like 2 gear trains. It was weird how it worked. It was pretty cool in the end. Right, so we need a 10mm socket for that. Right, buzz that out and get rid of that. Okay, so that's pretty much everything, other than the stubborn collar that we can't get out, because it is pretty deformed and mangled. And that was actually welded to the gear, which was that one. Which one was it? That one. see in there, it's all like, you have to watch the real video, people. But in there, it's all like chewed up.
Yep.
Well, what had happened is that's supposed to spin on there freely, right? It's a gear. When I stripped it down, it wasn't. It was like keyed to the shaft, and it wasn't obvious that that was a separate part. It was only when I went on the schematics, the parts diagram, that I realised, no, it's got a collar and it's got a gear. And what happened basically is the guy, because he'd been flying down the road full tilt, but the oil level in the engine had been quite low, and it's the same oil for the gearbox. Because that's quite high up in the gearbox, it wasn't getting any oil. So it got hotter and hotter and hotter. And then I think what happened is this started to deform, and it basically burred over the hole, the oil supply hole. And then of course from that point on it was getting no lubrication at all, and it just fused together basically. So all of a sudden, and when it's in super low, that gear's engaged to the shaft. So that's why super low still worked. But in low and high, that's supposed to spin, or spin at a different speed to the shaft, and of course it couldn't because it was welded to the shaft basically. So there you go, quick summary of what I found out. I've spoken to a few techs since then, and they've said, yeah, we've come across that. But the worst thing is, it's something that could have been fixed quite easily with the engine still in the bike. A couple of hours work. You know, a new gear and a new collar and bits some oil, and away you go, mate, you're all fixed. So I felt a bit sorry for the customer, but hey, it is quite an old bike. Okay, next job, we've got what looks to me like a gear position sensor here, for on the dash that tells you what gear you're in.
Yeah.
So we've got to unscrew those two screws, and then we've also got another sensor up here, which is probably for reverse and forwards, maybe. We'll have a look. So, star screwdriver. Everybody hates me for calling it stars. What do you call them? What's it?
Phillips.
Phillips, you're a Phillips person, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't fit very well. I'll try the other one. I don't actually have any of those Japanese spec screwdrivers, the ones that fit all the Japanese screws perfectly. You heard of those?
No.
I can't remember the name of them, and somebody commented years ago saying, oh, Andy, you should get a set of them. Because the Japanese screw heads are actually slightly different.
Okay.
So there's actually a Japanese spec Possum Phillips star screwdriver thing for it. Right, you feeling strong?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you are. Go on then, give it a go. You must miss working on the tools sometime, don't you?
Sometimes, not always.
When you go home clean and not smelling of diff oil, you go, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
today's a good day.
They always used to get in my hair.
It's a hard life working in the workshop. It's not, without sounding sexist, it's not really a girl environment as regards like all the grime and grit and shit and stuff, is it really?
Depends on how much you care about it.
Yeah, I suppose. Traditionally guys are always the ones that are
That's what I mean.
filthy minded and filthy on the outside as well, probably. Right. Oh, yeah. There'll be an O-ring behind there, probably. There is! Look at that. So that's half of it. And this might... Oh, it's got a little... I think it's got a little snap in it. Maybe not. Right, so we've got one of them. And Mr. Spring covered in dust. Maybe that will come out of there, maybe it won't, I don't know. No, okay. Right, we had somewhere, that'll do, we'll use this. Use Mr. Monkey Wrench. Not that I normally use monkey wrenches, but it's to hand. Did you let go? Or did you not? Didn't, did it?
No.
Arse. Who would design that, honestly? Alright, might be time for a ring spanner. Do it properly, Mr. Young.
Yeah.
Right, what size do you reckon? 24?
Yep.
Try it. It'd probably be bigger than my look.
bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
26.
Oh no, the 26 is on the door. I used the 26 on the door. Oh, I never need a 26. I'll use it as a door handle.
Might be a 28, but might just be.
No, I haven't got one. Not in this toolbox anyway. We're going to need some alternative, because it is scrap. Alright. Alright. You need eye protection, because insurance is way too expensive. Right, I'm going in. This is not something you should ever repeat.
Cool.
Who needs the right size spanner, eh? Terrible. Misty doing that's terrible. Right, so we've got 4 wires coming off that. All blue with various colours tracing down them. It's doing all sorts of stuff, but it really is just a single switch, I think. Who knows, I might test it one day. Right. And an O-ring. Super. Right, we've done all the hard stuff now. Now's the easy stuff. Got all those bolts to buzz out. Monkey had it. Right, that would have been mental right there. Helping the ugly. Right, I'm going to hold it now. Get that whole look away. Okay, so you've got a spot around the casing with some little 8mm bolts kicking around. So just buzz out as many as you can find. There, just lob them in the box. It's probably just going to go for scrap. I actually got given 2 more of these engines.
That's the only 2, is it?
How about down this end here? Look, there's one there, look. I think.
Ah, yes.
There's one up here as well. Oh, there's some on this side, just to make life interesting. Cool. Is that it? Any more?
2 more.
2 more? Oh, I've seen another one down here, look. I remember when I was a kid, I was undoing a gearbox or crankcases on a Suzuki Beamish 250 that I had. I was only 13, and man, I spent hours very gingerly trying to separate those crankcases, and then I found one more bolt.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it was never going to separate. And I think actually I stressed the casing.
Oh no.
Trying, yeah. It's alright. Will it undo with the thingy? Yeah, with the impact wrench. If I give it a bit of a pull this side.
I think it might just be casing a bit.
Go on then. Oh yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Keep going. Bloody clever. Right, are you sure you got them all? Oh, 2 more down there. Go on then.
Oh, lots.
Oh, there's heaps. I've never seen his sideboard. Be interesting.
Clean.
One thing I like about this whole idea of putting everything in one casing, you know, with the diff, and the gearbox and the engine,
Yeah.
is you've got minimal seals. You've only got a seal here to the left-hand rear wheel for the drive shaft, one on the other side, and then your output to the front diff. Whereas if you've got the final drive, the differential as a separate unit, you've got a seal at the back of the gearbox, you've got a seal on the pinion, obviously you've got different oils as well, you know.
Lots of room for leaking.
Yeah, I think there's more, it's less resilient, that's the thing. There's more, the more components you have, the more chance of, you know, one of them failing, isn't it? Right, give that a go, see if you can get your socket on there. Bloody good. Right, okay, I think there's one more. Try that one there, look. And then we'll flick it around because there's definitely some on the other side. Which is actually quite annoying. You think they'd have put them all on one side, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Of course, there's still some oil in it. It's down. It could sit there for 1,000 years dripping oil in it and still have some left in it. Okay, well, there's one. Oh, we've missed one. Holy crap, tall girl Holly.
Oh no.
Blind. Well, we were filming till what, 11:15 last night, so.
Yeah. It's still early for you.
It's way too early. Right, there's one. I'll let you find the rest. Have we ever stripped a motorbike engine before? The engine.
That's stripping.
Oh, it's all ground off, isn't it?
Shit.
Alright, are there any more? There's one, look, try that one. I'll get some more grips on that. Oh look, engine number K403-154868. So somebody that works for Suzuki can track who bought this bike brand new. It's interesting stuff, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we need, jeez, can't be asked, so I'll get the right tools. I wonder if that'll do it.
Not quite. Ooh.
Ye of little faith. Right, try that, see if you can buzz it out now. Bloody good. Okay, any more? Any more for any more?
Down here.
Alright, I'll flick it that way, then you can buzz off the, I think the oil filter's behind there. I think. I'm guessing. Maybe. Or an oil filter's behind there. So if you buzz those three off, we'll have a look in there. Might just be the strain actually, oil strainer. I think the oil filter's on the casing, on the side casing. Possibly a big spring in there as well.
Yeah, is that not holding it off?
No, that's just the, no, it should come off now I think. Sorry, let's give it a go, give it a friendly tap. Yeah. Oh, just crud. Alright then, so every engine tells you a story. Let me move the camera and we'll have a little look at that. There might be some telltale stuff. Right, let's try and get the old camera sorted out. Okay, so essentially this traps all the crap that's flying around the engine now. What have we got in here? We've got a bit of sludge, so it looks like we've had a bit of water in there, but that tallies because this engine was left outside for a while before I got it. So that we'll let the engine off that. Now, we've got a bit of old gasket which has been sucked around, and there was a bike that I know about years ago, not that many, from 4 or 5 years ago, brand new motorcycle, catastrophic engine failure because a bit of this rubberized gasket had broken free and blocked up an oilway.
Oh no.
Yeah, brand new, and it was like a $30,000 bike. Luckily I didn't have to rebuild it, but anyway. And we've got a shit ton of bits of gasket, haven't we? And you see, none of this gasket has gone in because of this current failure. This is probably a previous repair that this engine's had done, and somebody hasn't really cleaned up all their mess properly before they've put the new gasket on. And they'll have cleaned the gasket surface, but some of the bits might have gone into the casing.
Yeah.
And they haven't swilled it all out with a maybe brake cleaner or something before they, you know, come to assemble, because there's heaps of it. This is big chunks of gasket, and this isn't for me stripping the engine down, because it wouldn't. The only reason why it got to here is because the oil carried it to here, you know. So this is actually pretty bad. So whoever's been working on this engine prior to the fail, well, they haven't done a very good job. And in all honesty, it might have been a bit of this gasket that's blocked the oil way initially to cause that bearing to fail. It might actually not have been because it was low on oil. Because I didn't drain the engine oil out of it. I was just told they thought it was a bit low on oil. So that might, this actually is evidence to suggest that this might actually be the problem. Really crappy mechanics, unfortunately. Right, Tool Girl Holly. I hear on the grapevine you're a really good stripper. So you can strip this casing down. Let's do it. Now, looking at that front prop shaft, or drive shaft if you're American, if you're English it's a prop shaft, we've got a universal joint here, and behind the universal joint is the nut that's holding this yoke onto the output shaft of the gearbox. So we need to remove these little circlips, actually just that one, and get those cups out so we can get rid of that half and undo the nut. You'll have come across these before on the old muscle cars and stuff, eh?
Yeah.
You ever changed one?
Not that I recall.
Wow. You ever stripped any?
Possibly.
Possibly, okay. Well, there's different styles. Some of them have the circlips on the outside, like Suzuki Jeeps and stuff.
Yeah.
And some have them on the inside, like I think the old Daihatsus and Nissans used to have them on the inside. Just different ways of doing it. So I don't really know what's better. These are probably a bit easier to get out, probably, and less prone to seizing up. So I'll let you do this because it's really fun. Can you see there? We've got a little circlip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one there, and it's like that. You know, it finishes here. So you just get your little screwdriver in there and give it a tap, and it should then pop out the top.
Okay.
So we need to do that one. I need to do that one up there as well. Look, that one there.
Cool.
That one's quite easy. And then we can tap, tap, tap. This couple pop out. Tap, tap, tap. That couple pop out. And then we get the universal joint out.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, I'm going to hold it for you. I'll bring it over here so you can reach. Now, where's your eye protection again? I'm going to get into so much trouble if you don't wear it. You know what these viewers are like, honestly. They value your eyes, that's what it is. Nobody tells me to wear bloody eye protection, but when it's a tool girl, God! Thousands of comments come through. You can choose whichever tool you want. I'd be using your hammer though, because they're usually quite tight to start off with. And I know it's not a pound through screwdriver. I do actually have a pound through screwdriver. In fact, hang on.
Copper tools.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'm getting out. I've got two out of the set that are flats, so probably, I don't know, you choose which is going to go in easier. But that'll certainly transfer the shock better because it's a pound through. You just turn it a bit more to the camera. There we are, look. Is that better? And I can hold it for you if you want. Shall I turn it around for you? Oh, hang on. Let's go like that, look. Right, you give it a whack. I'm sure last time you used a hammer I got injured. You get it? I think you did. Right, give it another whack. Hang on. Yeah, go on. Hang on. Just easy, tiger. God. Right, and again. Go on. Right, what's going on? You coming?
It's turning around.
Oh, for God's sake, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was going way too easy.
The circlips without the holes are even worse.
Oh, you arsehole. It's gone right round now, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll just keep rotating. We had something like that in uni, didn't we? We had like 2 screwdrivers on each side.
We did. It was like a team effort. I remember that. There he is. I got it. Don't panic. 10 minutes later.
Number 1. Yeah, in the box.
God, it's like a sauna in here now already.
Oh yeah. Real stuffy.
I've ordered air conditioning for the workshop.
Have you?
Bloody too right I have. It's going to be great. It's going to be cooler in here than it is in the house.
Nice.
Yeah, look. So that's how you do it. Not. Okay.
Cool.
I'm back. Okay, so once you remove the little circlets, which takes only a few seconds to do, we can just give these little taps. So we're going to tap this cup in, and it'll push that cup out. Now, if you're doing this in a vise, you know, when you're replacing the joint, you can use a bigger socket on this side, so it goes over the cup.
Cool.
Yeah, and a little socket here, and you push the little socket in, and that cup goes inside the big socket. So you're using the vise like a press. Done that before? Yeah, we did that at uni. We did prop shafts.
I don't remember all of it.
Maybe you weren't there.
Maybe.
Or maybe you weren't there for that lesson. What do you think?
Possibly.
Right, now obviously this is scrap. I wouldn't be hitting the yoke otherwise, but we've got a punch. So I'll give it a little tappy tap. Right, see how that cup's now come out? There you go, look, a cup. And we can wallop that back in there again, and it'll push the other cup through. Whoa! Sparks! It's the way you wear eye protection material. I got some in my eye the other day. It took like 3 days to come out. I felt it go in. And I was doing something like, it was like 1 in a billion chance. So you never bother to wear eye protection under those risk scenarios. And I felt it go into the white of my eye. I was like, ooh, that hurt.
Careful.
Yeah, it wasn't so good actually. It took a while to. Yeah, that should easily go through there. It must have got jammed somehow. Right, eye protection. Come around this side, Holly, because nobody can see you over there. It's just as hot here as it is over there. Right, so I'm going to get a socket now and put a socket over that just to give it more. So, a bit more. 17 maybe. Let's try that. I'm going to steam up now. There we are, look. Right. So now I can give it a real good whack.
Cool.
Cup number 2. Tang socket still intact. Sorry, Brandon. He's like, man, you're so hard on our tools. It's like, come on, the tools, what do you expect? Now, in theory, get rid of that seal, because it is scrap. That should come out there. Yeah, right. 3 parts.
Cool.
Right, we're finished hammering, so we can remove our vision because I can't see shit out of those. Some more bits there, look. Right, we need a decent socket now to go on there, don't we?
Yeah.
So if you get your big, steal your battery, put it in your big windy. I think it's a 19. Bigger. It is bigger. 21 big. Got a 22. Try that. That'll do. Right. Go for it. What size was that one?
22.
Oh. Oh, you want the deep one?
That's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, come round. It's all yours. You can take out all the vengeance now after that grief it gave us. Now we're assuming it's left out. It's a normal right hand thread bolt. We'll find out.
Keep going.
Holy crap! Hang on then. That was impressive. I don't know if I can hold it or not. Let's give it a go. Alright, go on. Jesus! Jesus! Hang on. And again. You got it? You got it! Fantastic. Right. So that'll now pop off there. Oh, you need a hammer. That's in pretty good nick actually, even though I've been hammering it. If you need one of these, because they would tend to that surface there would crap out.
Yep.
Where the seal goes. It's not bad at all actually. And it's not splayed either, so if you want one of those, send me an email. I'll have it. Alright, still got all your fingers?
Yep.
Both eyes?
Yep.
See, we're not that dangerous, are we? It's not today.
Yeah.
Alright, so we've now got to split the casing, and this casing, sorry people, this casing doesn't have a gasket between the two halves. It's got that bondy, you know, silicone-y grey stuff down there. So, the trick now is to make sure we're undone all the bolts, which I've just seen another one. There, look. Okay. God, we're doing the same thing again, won't we? Right, so let's buzz that one out. And we'll have a little look around and make sure we've got all the rest of them. Cool, yeah. Makes it a lot harder when they're on both sides of the engine, doesn't it? Both sides of the casing. Oh, some more bits have fallen out. I remember, oh, look at the state of that. That's that one that was hard to get out.
Yeah.
It's all smashed in, isn't it? Shit. I got asked, we got given a Subaru 4-cylinder, sorry, Subaru 4-cylinder. God, this, you're out of camera shot. We got given a Subaru 4-cylinder boxer engine. And were you in Daly's class?
Daily.
No, you weren't, were you? No, it was before yours. And he says, "Oh, sir, can we strip that down as one of my engines?" Because they had to do a couple of engines. I'd never done one. It's great. I'm trying to work out how to get the pistons out. It's fantastic. Anyway, okay, so we need a little block of wood and a hammer. We've already got a hammer, so I'll get the block of wood.
That was one here.
All right, we'll use that one. That'll do. It's a little bit big, but it'll do. Right, so if we'll find a big lumpy bit. That's quite a big lumpy bit, and we'll put a bit of wood on there. If you give that a little bit of a tap for us, we'll see what happens. Now you've got to listen because you'll hear it you'll hear the noise change. I think it is starting now, so. Yeah, keep going. And again. And again. Cool. Alright, so you've got a little tiny line starting.
Yeah.
So now we have to move to the other end. Try it on there. It's a bit weak, but we'll give it a go. It is scrap at the end of the day, so give it a whack. And again. And again. Keep going. Be angry about it, go on. Alright, let's flick it over. Just get rid of that, don't need that. Come back. Now I don't know which side all the gears will go with.
Yep.
So we'll find out as we go along. Because like, I could read the manual, but then it becomes boring. It's more interesting like this. Oh, there's a good one. So we can go off the edge of there. Look, that's quite strong. So if you want to give it some more wax. My fault. Right, go on. Okay. We've not got a lot of movement going on. Not down this end. Let's have another little look, don't we? Sometimes you'll find one inside the casing as well, you know, lurking around, being a pain in the ass. Ah, you see there's something there, look. Look at that. That's a big bugger, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a 12. So I'll get you a 12 for the windy gun. Impact wrench. Impact wrench. Right, I reckon that might be it. So we'll buzz that out. Show the people. Alright, just down there, look. I think it is. Between all those shafts. Hopefully it's going to be a big long one.
Right,
Is it too tight? Holy moly! All right, I'll just get a ratchet and give it
Okay.
give it a clunk. Too hot.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. Buzz it out. Let's do it. Oh. Yeah. Brilliant. That feels long, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would stop it splitting open. Thanks, Suzuki. At least we spotted it now and not like, smashed the casings to pieces in anger. And then gone, oh, there's the bullet. Okay, so we'll start again. And we'll go again there. Right, go on. Right, hang on. See, it's splitting down here, look. I've got a definite line. The problem's down this end. I still think everything's going to come out on this side. It's trying to come out on this side, and that collar's holding it in. I think, and that collar, you see, would normally just slide off. So I think we need to address that problem. Here we go. I don't want a cold chisel straight through it. I'm going to have to. Definitely eye protection time. This is fun. It's been sat on that up there for like 3 months, and I had no idea it would cause us so much fun. Right, I'm just getting rid of that old collar. We don't need it anymore. You wouldn't normally use a cold chisel to take an engine apart. This is what we call special circumstances. Ha! Almost. God, I think I spent ages getting that thing. You know, I say machine, trying to free it all off and everything. It took me ages to do that. Ha! Right. Let's rip. Let's do it again. Just give those two a bit of a clout. Cool. Still pretty tight down this end, isn't it? I reckon most of us seized down. See, it's still tight down here. Look, it's tight.
Yeah.
It's just not moving it, is it? Have we got another bolt? I don't think we have we? It's just being a Suzuki, that's what it's doing. It's being an ass. Now, I had a little look in the service manual.
Yeah.
I cheated and read the manual. And I think there's two things we have to do. Just come around here, Holly, I'll show you. So you know it's sort of still binding in the middle, isn't it? We're getting it to open at the ends, but we're not really getting it to open in the middle. And the manual says we need to remove that bolt. Now, unfortunately, I assumed that that bolt there was just a drain bolt because it's got a big copper washer on it.
Yeah.
But it says you've got to remove it. So if you grab the little impact wrench, you can buzz that out. And I think there's one more thing we have to do. I actually felt the casing open when you did that, so that's a good sign. Now, I also read in the manual that when we split the casing, all the gears and internals and stuff should stay with this side.
Okay.
So this bit lifts off. But looking down here, obviously the crank, well, I'm assuming that the bearing, the main bearing, or the right hand main bearing of the crank will stay in the casing. If it does, we've got to remove that little dowel. Is that little dowel sticking up?
Yeah.
Because otherwise the crank, sorry people, there's a little dowel down there. So if we see the bearing start to move out of the casing, we can leave the dowel in.
Okay.
If we see the crank going through the inner race of the bearing and the bearing staying in the casing, then we've got to pull that dowel out.
Okay.
All right, so we've got to be real careful as we do that. But now that we know that this bit's coming off here, if you give these two a tap, it should shock this way.
Okay.
All right, so I don't have to do my abusive smash the crap out of it today, hopefully.
Cool.
Oh, one whack! Look at that. We've got a crack all the way down now.
Cool.
Should have read the manual. All right, so just do evens. You know, one and then the other. And you're supposed to use a puller. Oh. Alright, okay, so we need to do a bit more. It's open more at this end than it is here now. We need to try and do it parallel.
Okay.
So, I can do that bit from here actually. Give it a little tappy tap on there. There we go. Right. So we'll try and get rid of that. Try and keep it so the viewers can see the whole thing separating. So if you, again, give it some more. You can use the hide end, the cow end if you want. And we'll give it a few more whacks. Oh, she's coming now. That's it. I can see stuff. Keep going.
Okay, that down might be a problem.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. The crank that is actually coming out of the bearing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How tough is that dowel to be getting out?
Not too tough.
It's on my side now, isn't it? Yeah, look, pop that in your box.
Cool.
Good job. Alright, so I better keep, well spotted there. Right, I better keep going. Oh, in fact, it's going to come off. It's going to come off. We've got it. We've got it. It's all loose. So we'll flip that around. And if we grab some blocks of wood. Here's top bed earlier. Right, if I lift it up, can you pop those like either side of the shafts and stuff? Yeah, I can do this from this side. Right, so pop them down there so they're either side of the shafts. Got it? Good stuff. Okay, so now if you get that end, I'll get this end. We should be able to, just the top bit, we should be able to wiggle it off. He says. Where's the hammer? Ta-da! Okay, what have we got in there? Holy shit, that nearly fell out. Right, Mr. Driveshaft. And all the bearings. So, before we discard this, we'll just check those bearings. So just spin. Oh, that's rough, isn't it? Feel that one?
Yeah, that's real rough.
It's real rough, isn't it? What about the other ones?
That's not great.
It sounds gritty, doesn't it?
Yeah, that one's okay.
Yeah.
That one's okay. That's these two.
And what about Mr. Diff-Doff at the back?
That's the worst.
Oh, but it has been open to the elements, and that's only, and with the drive shaft out, all the crap can get in. So
yep.
We can let that one off. Jeez. What that's for? Like an oil. That's weird. It's just got a tube. I have to read the manual about that. I've never seen anything like that. Obviously catches oil, it catches the oil, look. So we've got a breather there. This looks like it's like an oil catchment that feeds it back down to the sump.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm guessing. Alright. We've done that bit. Cool. Okay, pop that on top of you. Can you reach over there? Somewhere on the bench will do, anyway. Right. Okay, I've got a perfect camera shot for this next bit. We'll just pop that back in for now. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, bear with me. Ha! Dangling off the light. Right, Holly, come here. Okay, so what we've got is crankshaft. Yep, so power coming down the conrod, turning into reciprocating power.
Yep.
Drive, so to speak. Now, first of all, it goes from there. That's right. Quick scan around. Yes, it goes from there through the 5-speed gearbox, which is this big chunk here, plus reverse is embedded in there as well. So there'll be an idle gear somewhere, which I think is that one. That's the idle. And then from here, it goes through to the transfer box, all those other gears that you took off before, on the side of the engine, and it comes back in to here. And this is what we call, we've got a bevel drive gear set here. So on this particular vehicle, the design setup, is the drive to the rear wheels, which you'd have all the time, goes through this big straight cut gear down here. See there, look, that big one, onto the crown wheel, which is super strong, all right? But the drive to the front wheels, which goes out through that yoke that we took off, that drive goes to the bevel drive gears. So only the torque to the front wheels goes through the bevel drive, and all the torque to the rear wheels goes through these massive straight cut gears, which is actually quite a clever way of doing it, because these are quite small bevel drive gears. If you had all the torque going through those, you would need them to be a lot bigger to cope with that. And a lot of modern day quad bikes put all the drive through just the bevel drive. And what will happen, you see, that shaft, this bit here doesn't exist on the modern designs, and that shaft runs all the way through, and that feeds prop shafts front and rear. And these fail quite a bit. I know that from experience. I can't elaborate any further, but I know that they fail quite a lot on modern bikes. And the way that Suzuki's set this up, even though it's a really old design, it's pretty smart, actually. I'm quite impressed by that. So that bevel drive system. Oh, some more gaskets. That's fantastic. Well done, Mr. Mechanic. Okay. So we can get rid of that. That can come out. But with a bevel drive, you get what's called thrust. So when there's torque, when this has been turned and the wheels are, you know, they're gripping quite hard, and there's a lot of drive, maybe going up a hill, then there's some thrust going on. And looking at this bearing, we've got just a normal big needle roller bearing there. Look, so that doesn't withstand any kind of thrust at all. So all the thrust is being controlled, so to speak, by this bearing here. I can't even see what kind of bearing that is. It's a weird one, actually. Yeah. So that one bearing there is what's responsible for holding that bevel gear in exactly the right position. Because if it moves a little bit, all your tooth contact's wrong. Remember we did differentials? Yeah. And we had to blue up the teeth to get the tooth contact just right. So that gear there, I would call that the pinion. That one has to be set up and down in height, and there'll be shims. I bet you there's some shims behind that nut and at the back of the actual gear itself. That gear will come off the shaft, and you'll put shims in there to get it the right height. And this one here doesn't have any shims. So there might be there'll be a shim there, look, because that bearing keys into the casing on that big clip.
Yeah.
So the more shims we put behind there, the more that gear is going to move this way.
Okay.
Yeah? So, pretty cool. What is weird though is that gear, it's got a circlip on it.
Yeah.
And it's splined. But it looks from here like it's part of the shaft, doesn't it? Oh, there, look.
No.
Ah, it separates down here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there's no shims in there. Because they could put a shim there, couldn't they? They could move it that way. I'd shimming that up. Cool. I just like to see the different ways that things are done. and I actually really like that. It's recovered itself a little bit, in my opinion. This design, actually, we're getting there. Okay, now that should. Will that come out?
Very good video needs a redemption arc.
Yeah, I think that should actually come out. Can't get that one out. Can't get the ground wheel out until that comes out. So I think a little tappy tap might work. Hopefully the whole thing's not going to fall apart. So we'll just roll it across a little bit, like that. Oh yeah, very little tappy tap, wasn't it? Right, so we'll have that out of the way. Yes, I was right. You see there, look, we've got a shim.
Yep.
So the shim thickness is critical. When you're building one of these up, you'd have to blue the teeth and check tooth contact and change that shim for a different, either a thicker or a thinner one, depending on where it needs to sit. Pretty cool. And it all looks really good. I've not found any failures in here. So you can have the crown wheel. There you go. All the teeth are there, aren't they?
Yep.
Awesome. Another little oil strainer. Right. Now, is the crank going to come out? Should do. So if I put that across like that, I just don't want all the gears to fall out. If you give that a bit of a tap, see if we can get this to crank out. There you go. One crankshaft. Now, there was no complaint about the engine running, so we know that the big end was good. Yeah, big end's fine. Of course, if you need a crankshaft, we've got one. Right. It's pretty cool. It's all coming apart really quick now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all we've got left now is the 5-speed gearbox with reverse. And I'm absolutely confident that has to be the reverse idler gear. So we can get rid of that, because we know what that is. There you go. Now we've got the selector drum, and we've got the selector forks, and these pins here. Look, so we remove those pins. Remember we did gearboxes, didn't we?
Yep.
And this is the point of no return, isn't it? If you pull these out, you're screwed. It's coming apart. Okay, so we'll have rid of that one. And we'll have rid of... Ooh, maybe I can't get any more out. I've got to pull these cluster out now, I think. Can we get that out? Yes, there we go. So the selector drum all looks pretty good. I actually saw one of these the other week. It was smashed in half. Unbelievable. There you go. Cool. Right. And this is essentially this is reverse. This is the reverse selector shaft. So when the operator turns that, it just moves one selector shaft into position. There you go. Cool. Right. So this should now all lift out together as a cluster. It says with complete confidence. You might have to give it a tap actually. It feels pretty tight. So if you give, I think it's that one that's sticking a bit. Give that a whack. Yep. Yep. Cool. One more. Cool. This bit's still going. That's it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Coolio. Right. If you pull that, drag that up that way a bit for us. Fantastic. Right. We've got some more selector forks there. Look, all those. Right, so that should fit back on there, hopefully. That's the plan, mister. Yeah. Cool. Well, there's no more gears anyway. Excellent stuff. So we were looking for like poor lubrication, weren't we, before? Was the original fail on the transfer box. I'm not going to go through which gear is which, because like the manual does all that, but I was doing a quick visual inspection to see if we've got any more gears that are struggling for lubrication. They all seem pretty good. All the teeth are there. Yeah. And this is an old quad bike. This is like 80s. And it was in service up until last year. So it's done incredibly well. This bike's done thousands and thousands of hours work. It's done really well. And you can see there's oil supply running down the shaft, and that's what these little holes are for.
Yep.
Now I did notice on the on this shaft, yeah, this is the shaft, I think. Yes, where that collar was on there, and I didn't realise when I first pulled it apart. I should have checked, but the collar has to be in a particular position on those splines. That inner collar, the one that I had to break off, and if you put it on the wrong spline, and the oil feed doesn't line up with the hole in the collar, then of course the oil's not going to get to the spinning gear. No. And that again might have been the reason, but I didn't take any notice when I pulled it apart, because I'm an idiot basically. Yeah. Didn't know it was there. That was the basic problem. Cool, yeah. Done.
Awesome.
Big box of bits. God, man, it's really, really friggin' hot in here today. It really is. Anyway, we finally got the Suzuki LT300 bottom end stripped down. So if you've got this job to do, then do watch the first video, because there's lots of real helpful stuff in there, and I run through how the transfer box side of things works in great detail. With the gearbox, hey, it's just a 5-speed gearbox. Read the manual. I've got 2 more of these engines. Maybe, just maybe, I'll pluck up the courage and strip another one down and do the gearbox side of it in more detail. Maybe there'll be a fail of a gearbox on one of those. Who knows? More interesting, because there was absolutely nothing wrong with that gearbox. No signs that it had, you know, oil starvation problems. No chipped teeth. All the bearings, well, the bearings felt okay-ish. There was 1 or 2 that were a bit iffy, but I think they've got contaminated while it's been outside. Yeah. Actually, that engine had a lot of water in it when I first stripped it down. So who knows? They may have even water blasted it with, you know, drive shafts missing and stuff, and it's forced all the grit into the engine. I just don't know. I don't know the full history. I didn't do the job of taking the engine out of the bike. Anyway, if you found the video helpful and entertaining, because there was 1 or 2 bits which would have probably been a bit quicker if we'd read the manual. Sorry, if I'd read the manual. It's not Holly's fault. It's entirely my fault. Because it's just another quad bike engine. Of course we can strip this down. It's dead easy. But there was 1 bolt which looked a bit like a drain bolt, but it's not. It's got a copper washer on it. It's somewhere, I think it's down by the speedo drive output, actually, right next to there. You've got to remove that as well. Otherwise, it's never going to come apart. But hopefully what came across in the video is don't force things. Don't put, you know, tire levers between the casings or screwdrivers and try and force them apart, because to be perfectly honest, that's when you completely screw things up, and it's the point of no return. You can't fix it after that. Once you've deformed those casings, bent them, damaged the sealing surfaces, it's knackered, isn't it, really? Yeah. You know, so just take your time and think about what you're doing, and if something isn't coming apart easily, stop.
There's normally a reason.
Yeah, have a look. There's usually a reason you've missed something. In this case, we'd missed 2 bolts. 1 internal bolt, which the manual pointed out, and 1 external bolt, which I had a hunch, but I checked with the manual. And then we knew. And then it was easy. It became from going from really hard to actually really easy. Yep. Just because I read 1 line in the manual. Simple as that. God, I really am soaked out. Look at that. I've got like a 2-tone shirt today. It's great. Oh, man. Okay, if you enjoyed the video, why not click on the subscribe button? I'm pretty sure, I keep forgetting which side it's on. It is this side. Click on the subscribe button. You'll see that the gear icon turn up. Click on the gear icon, and then you can tick the box. And our friends at YouTube, once you turned on notifications, will send you an email as and when I upload any new videos. You'll also find me on
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon.
You will, that's right. They're always in a different order. These tool girls, honestly, they wind me up, because they always, every time I edit, I have to reshuffle all the little graphics around, but makes it more fun, I suppose. Keeps me on my toes, doesn't it? So yeah, you can contact me through any of those portals, and there's also my email address down the bottom as well. Can't guarantee I'll always get back to you, but I'll do the best I can. I'm a very busy chap, and I have a full-time job during the week, which takes me all over New Zealand. It's a fantastic job, thoroughly enjoy it, have to say that. But no, it really is, actually, really is. It involves lots of pubs on evenings, all over the country. It's great. Best job in the world. What else? On Patreon, you can become a patron to the channel if you like. You can sign up and donate once a month or do a one-off donation. You'll also find on Patreon information about what, Holly? Ooh, go on. Pictures and stuff. Holly hasn't been in the workshop for about a year, so we've got to forgive her a little bit. She needs to do some brushing up on her techniques, I think. Yeah, so on Patreon you can read all about the history of the channel, how it came to be, profiles of all the gorgeous tool girls on the show, and you can also download hundreds and hundreds of photos. Some have come from the videos, some are behind the scenes pictures as well, so you can sign up for that. Last but not least, there is a new PayPal icon on the homepage, which you can use to purchase the 2020 Tool Girl calendar. There's still, I think, 3 left, or do a donation that way if you like. It all helps. And those that have supported the channel and still are, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. It makes all this kind of stuff possible. It really does. Anything to add, Holly? Come on.
No,
I always talk way too much on these videos.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching.
Absolutely. Until next time, crew, good luck, and keep watching the videos, actually, and drive safe. And if you ride a motorcycle, ride even safer.
Yes.
See you, crew. Over and out. And we get the flick up again.
Oh!
Really.